Let's continue the chapter The Colonialism and the Countrysides. With the passage of time, settled cultivation expanded and reached to the area of shifting cultivation, swallowing up pastures and forest in the Rajmahal hills. Shifting cultivation was done with the help of hoe, and when you talk about this settled cultivation was done through plough. So here you can see the Rajmahals in the hills of Rajmahal. And where it is located? It is located in the Santhal Pargana division of Jharkhand, but during the 19th century it was a part of Bengal. When we talk about Francis Buchanan, he was a physician traveler who traveled through the Rajmahal hills, and he gave an account of description about it. He mentioned that the hill appeared impenetrable. Okay, it means that it is impossible to enter or go through it. And when we talk about it, is a vast hilly area tract covered by deep forest, and that there might have remained hills locked, completely cut off and isolated from outside world. Wherever he went, people were hostile, and you can see they were apprehensive of officials. They showed their unwillingness to talk to officials. Many villagers fled away from the village and got settled in the hills of Rajmahal. So who were these hill folks? Okay, so the information we are getting are from the account of Francis Buchanan or the late 18th century officials record. And the another questions that raised was why were they so apprehensive of Buchanan visits? So Buchanan journal give us alluring glimpse of these hills folks in the early 19th century. His journal was written as a diary of places he visited, people whom he met, and the practices he saw. His day-to-day activities was in the journal. It tells us about the moments of the time, but not about the history or past of this geographical region and the people. To more about this region, the historian have to turn to the other record. So if we look at the late 18th century records, we learn that these hills folks were now as Pahadia. They lived around. When we talk about these people, they were Pahadia. So this Pahadia, they live around the Rajmahal hill, surviving in the forest produced and practicing shifting cultivation. So here you can see they cleared the patches of forest by cutting bushes and burning them, and on the patches which are now enriched by the potash from the ash, and the Pahadias grew a variety of pulses and millet for consumption. So they cultivate और dig land with the help of, you can see here, hoe, जिसे हम कुदाल कहते हैं, and cultivated the cleared land for a few years and left it fallow so it could recover its fertility, and they moved to the new area. From the forest, what they get? They get mahua, flowers for food, the silk cocoon and the resin for sale, and wood for charcoal productions. The bushes and the plant that grow around and under the trees were just spread like a mat below the trees, and the patches of the grasses that covered the land left fallow provided pastures for their cattle. So here you can see the life of the Pahadias as hunters, as shifting cultivators, food gatherers, charcoal producers, silkworm rearers, and thus intimately they are connected to the forest. So they live in the, you can see, terminate groves, okay, and rested in the shades of the mango trees. They considered the entire regions as their land, and then you can find the basis of their identity as well as their survival. So they resist the entry of any outsiders. The chief maintained the unity of groups. He settled the disputes and led the tribe in battle with other tribes and plain peoples. So the Pahadia, they regularly raided the plain where the settled agriculturalists lived. So these raids was necessary, one for the survival, okay, particularly in the year of scarcity of food, in the time of famine or drought. So another point here is why they involved in the battle with other tribes is to establish their dominance. Okay, that was the way of asserting power and over the settled communities. There was a mean of negotiating political relations with outsiders. In case the Jamidars of the plain had to pay tribute to the hill chief, and then you can see traders they usually give a small amounts of to the hill chiefs for the permission to use the passes controlled by them. Once the toll was paid, the Paharia chiefs protected the traders, ensuring that their goods were not plundered by anyone. So these negotiations, okay, peace was somewhat broken up. It broken down in the last decade. You can see in the 18th century, when the land for cultivation was extended toward the boundary, it was extended toward the east. The British encouraged the forest clearance, and the jamidars and jodhar turned uncultivable land into the rice field. So the British extension of agriculture was necessary to increase the source of income. By the land revenue, they produced crop for exports and to establish the basis of settled and organized society. So they also associated forest with the wildness and saw forest people as a cruel, violent, unruly, primitive and difficult to govern. So they felt that the forest has to be cleared. Settled agriculture established, and forest people tamed, civilized and persuaded to give up hunting and take to plough agriculture. As the settled agriculture expanded the area under forest and pastures, this was, you can see, the size became very small, and this enhanced the conflict between the hill folks and the settled cultivators. So the Pahadia peoples began to raid in the settled village regularly as they raid before, carrying away food grains and cattle. So being frustrated, colonial officials tried desperately to control and defeat and bring them under control, the Pahadias. But they found their task was too difficult. In the 1770, British appeared to a policy of exterminations or killing of them. And then by 1780, you can see Cleveland, the collector of the Bhagalpur, proposed a policy of pacification. So in which you can see Pahadia chiefs were given an annual allowance and made responsible for the proper conduct of their men. They were expected to maintain order in these localities and disciplines their own people. Many Pahadia chiefs refused the allowances. Those who accepted most often lost authority or position within their own community. Being in the pay of the colonial government, they came to be perceived as a subordinate employee and working for the payment rather than voluntarily. As the you can see, as this specific campaign continue, the Pahadias, they hide themselves into the dark forest so that they could not protect themselves, so that they could protect themselves from the enemy forces and carry a war against them. So when Buchanan traveled through this region in the winters, the Pahadia naturally view him as a suspicious and distrust. So by this time, there was newer intimation of danger, and that were the arrival of the Santhal. Santhal were pouring into the area, clearing the forest, cutting down the timber, plowing the land and growing rice and cotton. As the lower hills were taken by the Santhal, the settler, the Pahadia receded deeper into the Rajmahal hills. जैसे जैसे संताल ने निचली पहाड़ियों पर अपना कब्जा जमा लिया, क्या हुआ, जो पहाड़ी जनजाति थी जैसे वो राजमहल की पहाड़ियों के और भीतर की ओर पीछे हटने लगी. So Pahadia people use hoe for the cultivations, and if we talk about their life was symbolized by this hoe. And when we talk about this Santhal, they came to represent the powers of the plough. The battle between the hoe and the plough was a long one. And now we see the Santhals. Okay, at the end of the 1810, Buchanan crossed Ganzuria Pahad or hills, and then which was a part of the Rajmahal range, and then you find that they passed through the rocky mountains beyond and reached a village. So it was an old village, but the land around the village had been recently cleared to extend cultivation. Looking at the landscape, Buchanan found evidences of the region having been transformed through proper applications of human labor. So he wrote, in Gunjaria the land had been sufficiently cultivated. Then it might be changed into glorious country. I think its beauty and richness can be developed into any place of the world. The land here rocky but uncommonly fine. Buchanan never saw such types of fine quality mustard and tobacco that produce in this region. Then here you see on the inquiry, he discovered that the frontier by the cultivation they had been extended by the Santhals, and They moved into the area around 1800 AD, displaced the hill folks and lived in the slopes, clearing the forest and settled the land. So how did the Santal they reach the Rajmahal hills? So here you see the Santal had begun to come into Bengal around 1780. Jamidar hired them to uh, bring the wasteland into this cultivable land and expand the cultivations. So if the British official also invite them to settle down into the jungle mahal, having failed to subdue the Pahadiyas and transformed them into settled agriculturalists. Now the British they turned to the Santhals. The Pahadiya were not ready to touch the plough and the clear the forest continued to be trouble for them. In contrast, the Santhals to be idle settlers. They were being an idle settlers for them and they had no problem for clearing the forest and settling down there. So the Santhal were given the land and proceeded to settle in the foothills of the Rajmahal. So in 1832, a large area was demarcated at the foothill of Rajmahal, and the large area was known as Damini Ko. It means the land of the Santhal. Settler here are the Santhals. So there was an agreement between the British and the Santhals that 1/10 of the area was to be cleared and cultivated within the first 10 years. The territories was surveyed, mapped, and it was enclosed with the boundary pillars. It was separated from both the world of the settled agriculturalists of the plain and the Pahadiyas of the hill. So after the demarcations of the Daminico, Santhal settlement expanded rapidly. In 1838, you can see there was 40 Santhal villages, but in 1851, you can see here 1473 villages had come up. Over the same period, the Santhal population increased from a mere 3000 to over how much 82,000. As cultivation expanded, you can see they started cultivating a range of commercial crops and increased the volume of revenue taxation for the taxation flow into the company's account. Here you can see that this affect the lives of the Pahadiyas. When the Santhal settled at the foothill of the Rajmahal Hills, the Pahadiya resisted, but they were ultimately forced to withdraw deeper into the hills. They were restricted to move down in the lower hills or valley. You can see restrictions to move down in the lower hills and the valley. So they were confined to a dry interior and to more barren and rocky upper hills. This severely affected their lives. If you talk the shifting agriculture, they depended on the new lands and utilization of natural fertility of the land. When the most fertile land became inaccessible to them, being the part of the Damin, the Pahadiya could not effectively sustain their mode of cultivations. So the Santhals start growing commercial crops and dealings with the traders and moneylenders. So why the Santhals revolt against the Jamidar, the British government? So you can see the Santhal, however, soon found that the land they had been bought under cultivation was slipping away from their hand. The state was imposing heavy taxes on the land that the Santhal had cleared. Money lenders were charging them high rate of interest, taking over the land when they were not able to pay the debt. And the Jamidar, they were forcefully controlling over the Damin area. So here you see the year 1850, the Santhal felt that the time had to come to rebel against the Jamidars, the moneylenders and the colonial state. It was a rebellion of Santhal people led by 4 Murmu brothers, Sidhu, Kanu, Chand and Bhairav. So nearly 10,000 men armed with bow and arrow, swords and spears gathered in the village under the leadership of Sidhu and Kanu. So the establishment of the Santhal state was announced. The infuriated Santhal made the houses of moneylender, Jamidar, revenue officers, railway station and indigo factories their main targets of attack. The government imposed martial law here, and then you can see Santhal leaders were captured and later they were executed. And you can see at a time the rebellion was seen suppressed by the Britishers. It was after the Santhal revolt that the Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act was passed, in which you can see that Santhal Pargana was created coming out of 5,500 square miles from the district of Bhagalpur and Birbhum, and then the colonial state hoped that some special law within it the Santal could be satisfied. So here you see they provide some protections from colonial exploitations. The regular police force was abolished and the village headman was vested within the duty of keeping peace and order. So here we saw the Pahadiyas and Santals of the Rajmahal hills.